Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for attending this masterclass on how to build a data literate workforce. My name is Laura Stevens, and I work as a senior manager in Deloitte's People Analytics practice. And one of my key ambitions is helping organizations to become more data-driven, both from an HR as well as a business perspective. I'm very pleased that I'm not the only speaker in today's masterclass. So joining me is Hilde Maas, who is a corporate HR director at KBC Group, as well as Tracy Villanueva, who's the head of people analytics at KBC Group. So we have an agenda for today. We will start this masterclass with a short introduction into the why of investing in data literacy, in case some of you still need to be convinced about the importance. Once companies are convinced about the importance, they start their journey and still they face a number of challenges in how to get started. And they're facing a number of questions which we would like to address and think about together with you some of the answers that may help to address these questions. And then finally, most importantly, Hilde and Tracy will share KBC's journey in how they have approached their journey towards building a data literate workforce and some of the key takeaways from this journey. So let's kick off this masterclass with a short introduction into the why of investing in a data literate workforce. But before I present some facts and figures, let's also get aligned on what data literacy actually means. So when we talk about data literacy, we basically refer in the broadest sense to the ability of people to derive meaningful data or insights from data. It is closely linked to the ability to critically assess information and, most importantly, to translate data and insights into data-driven decision-making. And when I use the word ability, I do not just purely refer to skills and capabilities. We genuinely believe that it is as much a matter of confidence and comfort amongst the workforce to work with data and to utilize them as a part of their business as usual. So why is data literacy so important? We all know that today we live in a data economy in which the volume of data is rapidly increasing, which leads to a situation in which every one of us and every citizen, so not only pure data experts, need to have the ability to understand basic data concepts. Let's use, for instance, the COVID-19 pandemic as an example. Whether it's about the need to adjust for population size or the complexity of making predictions during unprecedented events, or even the impact of a country's counting system on the statistics, it's really essential. It became almost a matter of survival that everyone understands these basic data concepts. And the same reality is true within organizations. So fortunately, today, it's very difficult to find a company that isn't convinced about the necessity and the criticality to become more data-driven. And that statement is definitely backed up by a number of observations. And we know today that data and analytics are becoming, or at least they are, essential pillars of every company strategy. So whether it's about improving the customer experience, whether it's about cutting costs, or whether it's about increasing efficiencies, data and analytics are essential pillars high on the strategic agenda. And in line with that strategic importance, we've also seen the rise of the appointment of the Chief Data Officer and the Chief Analytics Officer, who are really equipped with leading that transformation towards becoming a data-driven or an insight-driven organization. That role usually directly reports to the CEO, again, highlighting or demonstrating the importance of that role. And if we then quickly adopt an HR angle, the same reality is showing up there. Although a bit slower to move, we also see a rise in dedicated roles such as head of people analytics like Tracy and the establishment of formal people analytics departments within HR. And that's basically what our team has been doing for a couple of years now. It's really helping organizations to establish people analytics as a formal and dedicated function within the HR function. And then finally, if we look at our Human Capital Trends report, we see that a large majority of companies today mention that they have initiated major initiatives to analyze people data and, more importantly, to integrate people insights into their business as usual and decision making. So far, the positive side of the story. The bad news, however, is that the reality or the hype has outpaced the reality, let's say. So in fact, we see that a significant number of companies today are struggling to get ROI from their analytics investments. And also a lot of CHROs and business leaders actually tell us that they are not satisfied with the outcomes they get from analytics and data investments. So why is it that while data are definitely recognized as a critical asset, it still seems that companies are not able to fully grasp how to get value out of it? And interestingly, when CDOs, so chief data officers, are being asked that questions, they almost consistently point to people and culture as being the number one internal roadblocks to generate business value with data and analytics. So it seems that for some reason, most of us are simply not that good in making sense out of interpreting and utilizing data as a part of their business as usual. So a couple of facts and figures. We know that only 25% of employees globally feel fully prepared to use data effectively when entering their current role. And the same is true for senior decision makers. So only 24% of these people tend to pass the standard data literacy tests. And perhaps not entirely surprisingly, the situation is even worse in HR, with only 10% of HR business partners feeling highly confident advising the business using data and analytics. Now, most organizations understand this reality. They are aware of that situation. But what they struggle with is how to start and address this challenge. So when interacting with clients and organizations, there are a number of questions they have when they initiate their journey towards building a data literate workforce. And one of the first questions we often get is, where should we start? And our experience definitely learns that the importance and even the criticality of using your strategy as a key navigator in prioritizing investments. So think about how data and analytics will drive your business strategy forward, how that translates into a portfolio of products, initiatives, and programs, and what that means in terms of skills and capabilities required from the workforce. Using that strategy as a key navigator will also help you to address the second question, which is, what should we deliver to build a data literate workforce and make it as applied as possible? Let me give an example. Imagine that customer centricity and customer experience is at the heart of your business strategy. One of the things your company could do is help people in support functions utilize consumer insights to shape their strategies. So imagine that the customer voice shows that they are not happy with your products. Then the HR department can learn to work with these data to hire more innovative product development engineers, for instance. So really stay closely connected to your strategy and make your data literacy journey as applied as possible. Next, it seems that in companies, there are quite a lot of differences in the level of data literacy amongst the workforce. And so companies are really wondering, where should we allocate our investments and how can we also personalize data literacy journeys? And our credo is practice what you preach. So make sure that you use data and measurements and assessments to steer and target your journey and personalize your learning journeys to make sure that people get enough exposure and get exposure that is applied to their basic levels of data literacy. Make the journey data-driven. And finally, one question that I find quite inspiring is who should drive data literacy efforts in the organization? So in many companies, it's the chief data officer and the data office who has taken on this assignment. But as the journey of KBC will show, there is also a great opportunity for the HR organization to take a driving seat in contributing to a more data literate organization. I will now pass the word to Tracy and Hilde to show how some of these factors can be applied in a real life context and how you can turn that into a successful journey. Thank you. Hilde and Tracy, I give the word to you.
So thank you, Laura. Good afternoon, everybody. Tracy and myself are going to share some steps in our KBC journey in developing a data literate workforce. Actually, when I look at it, it's my experience that becoming a more data-driven HR department has helped us has given us the opportunity to drive data literacy further in our company. And from my point of view, this was really necessary. You know, KBC, just like other financial institutions, is going through a huge transformation in which data is playing an important role. As our CEO, Johan Thijs, states, data to us is the new electricity. And data will help us to stay the reference in delivering upon our commitments to our employees and our clients, of course. But this statement, given the fact that we were a traditional financial group, gives, of course, a lot of challenges, but also a lot of pressure to our workforce, taking into account that everybody throughout the company, of course, at different levels, should be able to use data, to interpret data, to handle data. So, and in order to support this transformation, we at HR were convinced that we should take some steps in in becoming more data literate ourselves. If I then look before 2018, I must say we just had a rather small reporting team, which produced piles of reports, of which some were read well. And to make the next step, to come to the next level, actually, we started working together with Deloitte to help us to set up a roadmap towards becoming more insight-driven and to set up also a people analytics function in KBC. First thing we did was actually defining a mission. And in this mission, we actually stated that we wanted to be a key enabler of the KBC people transformation. What we did then at first stage, that is that we invested quite some time in setting up the right governance structure, clarification of our roles and responsibilities, not only just within the HR department, but also in working together with our big data department, which is not in HR, of course. What we also did at first stage, we gave a priority to tackling legal and compliance matters, because we needed to ensure that privacy was handled well. We needed to ensure also our employees there. So we set up balancing tests. We took time to talk to the unions. And I must say, if I look back at that time, it seemed rather taking a long while. It seems rather tedious all. But in what we do today, we profit from this. We're working on this at an early stage. This was helpful and smoothens our way of working today. But of course, as Laura also pointed out, it's not only about the organization that needs to be in place. A crucial part actually was the building of the team, bringing together the right skills of the future needed to set our next steps. Tracy?
Thanks, Hilde. So I joined corporate HR in November of 2018. That's when our team was officially formed. Over time, we expanded, and also we brought in a new set of skills. So currently, our team has a mix of experience and skills based upon HR, IT, data analytics, customer insights, and digital marketing. Now, this diversity is crucial to bringing new ideas to the table. When it comes to bigger projects, we make sure that we work in tandem. An HR analytics translator, for example, working with a data analyst, and also experts from the business. This is the way how we can move our insights forward. In 2019, we implemented our operating model. Now, we wanted to immediately gain street credibility by basically two things. The first thing is, of course, fixing the basics. We are also responsible for curating our information layer. That means being very critical about what data we bring in, what data we store, and what data we will use for reporting and analytics. Only if we have a good data set can we actually deliver fresh insights. And when it comes to delivering fresh insights, we focus on what is top of mind of our business leaders. Some projects that we've worked on focused on KBC's workforce transformation, gender pay gap, and strategic workforce planning. And now this year, we launched an online learning platform for KBC called Stipple. Hilde will mention more about it later. But one of the cornerstones, one of the main content of Stipple is actually data literacy, which is rolled out to the whole of KBC in Belgium. Before the launch, our HR management team actually encouraged the members of HR to start developing our data literacy. So people analytics became a local flavor of that. What our team did is we organized training sessions, a broader one for the whole of HR and a deeper one for my team, for our HR business partners, and as well our business stakeholders. These are complemented by online access to other learning materials, both for HR and for the business.
So when we look at some lessons we learned or some factors that were critical in setting steps here. First one, I would say that is that a crucial factor for success is this alignment of what we do at the people analytics team and the use cases, the things we set up with our HR strategy and with the overall KBC strategy. In our strategy, differently the next level, as I already mentioned, data are key. And bringing clarity on this point and pointing out that everyone in the company is expected to take up new roles, new capabilities in this transformation is crucial to get everybody in, of course. And in my vision, senior management has a very big role in that, to communicate, to keep on communicating this, because it's not a one shot. And actually, the fact that our CEO is taking a front role in this cannot be overestimated, as I see it. But also again, working together, business and HR, is essential. We cannot do it alone. And as Tracy already mentioned, Stipple, actually, just after the launch of our new company strategy, Stipple was launched, and Stipple is actually a learning platform, skills to improve performance, progression, learning, and employability. We just launched it after the launch of the new strategy. And we introduced the concept of hot skills. Hot skills were defined. One of the hot skills at KBC is data literacy. And hot skills are meant actually, or are set up to focus and to steer our employees in what to learn to become future-proof. Of course, at different levels for everybody. As Laura said, not everybody should become a data scientist. That's not the intention. But we want to drive everybody towards more data literacy. Via the platform, our employees can easily access and consume learning content at the level they need, and also at the time they need it, or at the time they have time to do this. And 3 months after the launch of Stipple, we see that it has already been taken up at the company. We see that more than 80% of our employees already visited the platform, and over 40,000 learnings were already completed. So that's quite nice, I think. Second thing that helps is that listen to the business needs first. We need to connect closely with business in doing the right things. We want to find out what really is helping the business in performing better or in solving these people transformation questions they have. And sometimes that means you have to take in questions that we can only answer partially, and then we take the journey together to come up with better answers. It does not have to be perfect at the first time from the beginning. And what I also want to stress here, that is that the role of the HR business partners, because they of course have to feed us in what is on top of the business. And to be able to do that, they also need to have a good level of data literacy. And that is why we invested in that as well.
The third one, deliver actionable insights. This is a guiding principle that actually Hilde challenges my team on constantly. More than our research findings, the question is, what does this mean for KBC? What do our findings mean when it comes to the corporate HR policy? So this is something that is a constant exercise within our company. Now, one example that we can give is our employee surveys. We've pivoted from long engagement surveys to focused Shape Your Future surveys, which are simple and only take 5 minutes worth of work for the respondent. We use artificial intelligence to help us process the data. When we launched this last year, one of the things or one of the 2 highlights that we found out is that our colleagues, our workforce actually wants to learn skills when it comes to digitalization and data literacy. It also highlighted the need for corporate HR to nurture KBC's learning culture. And those are steps, those were clear signals to actually help us launch Stipple this year. Mm-hmm. And last but not the least, there's also something that could get data literacy forward, and that is design thinking. Design thinking and data literacy go hand in hand. Just as KBC wants to bring the next level to our clients, we in People Analytics also want to bring the next level to our internal customers. We want to give them insights in a way that is simple, accessible, and intuitive for them. That is why we involve the users from the very beginning. We design user tests, we do user testing, and also we have design sprints that actually gather feedback as early in the process. One of the things that we launched is the Beehive, which started as an executive dashboard for our senior managers, senior leaders to actually manage the people side of the business. Now, over time, as we continue to gather feedback, we realized that our users, so the senior managers, also want to broaden the scope of the Beehive so that their line managers would have a similar view. And now, so we are building a roadmap to actually bring the Beehive also to line managers and functional managers. And I think it is also not without saying that Deloitte also helped us actually bring the Beehive to implementation. Hilde?
Okay, thank you. So to close this session, these were some steps in our journey so far. It has been quite exciting, but of course we realize that a lot of steps still have to be taken, and it's a story that is not finished. We are in a constant process in order to become more insight-driven, to take our own workforce and the whole KBC workforce along. For sure, for us, it's not only about tools and technology, it's especially about people. So thank you very much for being with us. Questions are possible for all the three of us, and I wish you a nice afternoon. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.